Childhood best friends Derek and Cliff share their plan to embark on a round-the-world trip. They're set to record their adventures on video to create a series called Ends of the Earth. Derek explains that traveling the world has always been his childhood dream, but he never had the chance before because he was stuck working most of the time. Meanwhile, Cliff is a filmmaker. He really wants to help Derek make his dream come true, even though he's pretty nervous about the trip itself. Cliff mentions that some people think Derek's decision is brave, while others believe he's making a mistake. It turns out Derek has an incurable illness. His blood vessels in his brain are malformed and could kill him at any moment, making every day feel like it could be his last. That's why his family is super worried about his safety. But Derek knows he could die any day, so he decides to live life to the fullest. He believes he has to chase his dream. When the big day arrives, the guys land in Barcelona. They check into a hotel and start setting up their filming equipment. The next day, they meet up with some friends who are currently touring with their band. Derek and Cliff decide to join them and travel to other countries for their concerts. During the tour, Derek feels more alive than ever before. On day 7, they arrive in Paris for the band's final show, where Derek decides to try meeting a girl. Things don't go smoothly at first, but he eventually meets a cute girl named Audrey on the street. Derek is upfront about his serious illness, but Audrey doesn't seem fazed. In fact, within an hour, they head to a hotel room together. That night, Cliff tries to sneak into Derek's room to prank him. To his shock, he finds Derek unconscious with a huge wound on his arm. When Derek comes to, he says Audrey bit him, and then he passed out. Cliff suggests going to a hospital, but Derek flat out refuses. The next day, the two friends head to Italy, where they rent a hotel room. Derek stays holed up in the room for days, and it's only after 3 days that Cliff convinces him to go on an excursion. They stop by a restaurant first, where Derek suddenly feels sick from the local food. Then they visit a vineyard owner to learn about winemaking. Out of nowhere, Derek starts feeling intense irritation from sunlight, which gets worse until he hides in a dark room. He's practically screaming in pain, and only cold water helps ease the agony a little. That evening, Cliff tries again to convince Derek to go home and see a doctor, but Derek refuses, determined to keep traveling. In a fit of anger, he punches a wall which crumbles like cardboard. Shocked, Cliff hands him a piece of rock, and Derek easily breaks it apart. To test Derek's newfound strength, they head outside, where he smashes a massive boulder with his bare hands. Later in an alley, Derek lifts a car with ease. When the car alarm goes off, the friends bolt. Cliff rides off on a motorcycle, but Derek outruns him on foot. Later, Derek, feeling a strange sensation in his head, accidentally scratches out his own eye. To his surprise, it heals quickly, and he can see normally again. Soon, Derek starts feeling an overwhelming hunger, but regular food no longer works for him, and he's constantly nauseous. Cliff contacts his doctor about Derek's weird condition, but the doctor refuses to speculate and just recommends going to a hospital for tests. Derek, however, insists he doesn't need to go anywhere because he feels healthy and strong. To prove it, he goes outside and shows off his abilities. Derek leaps from building to building, but this seems to make Cliff even more worried. Luckily, a sudden bout of weakness convinces Derek to agree to a hospital visit. On the way, they're nearly hit by a car, and the passengers attack them. In seconds, Derek takes them down, and the guys manage to escape. Back at the hotel, Cliff reviews footage from the night and notices Derek licking blood off his hand. This makes them wonder if Derek might have turned into a vampire. Now Derek realizes he needs blood, but the problem is they don't know where to get it. Cliff first tries giving Derek cow's blood to satisfy his craving, but it makes him sick again. They head to a farm to get fresh blood, but that doesn't help either. Next, they go to a hospital and try bribing the staff for human blood, but the workers call the police, forcing the guys to flee again. That night, as Cliff is about to go to bed, he notices Derek getting aggressive. It's clear Derek's in bad shape since he still hasn't gotten any blood. Cliff offers his own blood, but suddenly Derek jumps out of the hotel window. Cliff follows him to a warehouse where a crazed Derek attacks and kills him. After feeding on Cliff's blood, Derek regains his sanity. Realizing he's killed his best friend and is a danger to others, he tries to end his life, but it doesn't work. So he decides to track down Audrey to figure out what's happening to him. The next day, as Derek prepares to leave, the police show up. Panicked, he jumps out a window despite the burning sunlight. A cop chases him, but Derek, pushing through the pain, manages to escape. Eventually, he makes it back to Paris and hides in an abandoned basement. While reviewing the footage, Derek notices Audrey left her phone number in the hotel room. He heads back to the hotel and grabs her phone without any trouble. But outside, the police are waiting and he has to escape across rooftops again. There, he confronts a cop and, refusing to be arrested, pushes him away, causing the officer to fall off the roof. Derek tries to save the man, but he falls and dies. Hiding in the basement again, Derek calls every number on Audrey's phone, hoping someone can help him find her. Eventually, a stranger agrees to meet him. Derek shows up at the meeting spot but doesn't approach the stranger. Instead, he follows the man to his house, where he finds a photo of Audrey. The stranger spots him and attacks. Derek easily overpowers and ties up the man, learning his name is Maurice and that he knows Audrey. Apparently, Maurice has long wanted to become a vampire, but Audrey avoids him, yet for some reason, she turned Derek. Derek sets up a live stream announcing that Audrey must meet him, or he'll kill Maurice. Soon, a SWAT team storms the building and opens fire without warning, knocking Derek out. Moments later, he revives, turning into a ruthless monster and wiping out the entire team in minutes. Days later, Derek lays low, but Audrey suddenly appears and attacks him. She warns him to stay away from both her and Maurice. Derek tries to fight back, but she's far stronger. Desperate, Derek begs for a cure to stop being a vampire, but Audrey says there isn't one. She explains he needs to kill regularly to stay sane, or he'll become a monster. She suggests choosing his victims carefully, like bad people, criminals, or society's worst. In the end, Audrey admits she turned Derek because of his terminal illness. At first, she thought she was doing the right thing, but seeing him suffer, she regrets it, though there's no way to undo it. A few days later, Derek records a video saying goodbye to his family, fearing he might harm his loved ones. Now he's accepted his fate, trying to kill only evil people, like those who hurt kids or murderers. In a post-credits scene, we see 3 teens sneaking onto private property. A vampire suddenly attacks and kills them. It turns out to be Cliff, who became a vampire after Derek bit him, but didn't finish him off, hinting at a possible sequel. And that's the end of the movie. Honestly, Afflicted really keeps you on edge, especially with its found footage style. It feels like it's happening for real. Derek's transformation into something terrifying and his struggle to figure out what's going on is super gripping. The scenes where he starts changing are especially intense. But if I'm being real, the ending gets a bit predictable, and it feels like they could have made it more surprising. Still, for a horror flick with this vibe, it's pretty solid. If you're into suspenseful movies with some gore, Afflicted is a decent pick for a movie night. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Not mind-blowing, but definitely worth a watch.